What is going on, everybody? This is another episode of Coordinated Chaos. On this week's episode, we'll be going over what happened in Championship Sunday, as well as we're going to go over the head coaching news, the newest stuff going on with who hired who in the NFL as well. Then we're going to go ahead and get to the Super Bowl preview. Let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into the first game of Championship Sunday. Obviously, Eagles versus Commanders at 3 o'clock this past Sunday. And, man, it was a very interesting game. A lot of the media was all over the Commanders. Everybody loved the Jaden Daniels rookie story and stuff like that.
Did they?
From what I saw, all the media was picking the Commanders.
That's
Now,
unbelievable.
obviously, like if you just looked at the betting market,
Yeah.
it was Eagles. It went from Eagles -4.5 to -6.5 at a point, and then came back down to -6. And so, like the betting markets were saying Eagles all the way for the most part. But like the media fell in love with the Jaden Daniels story. I don't blame them. Best rookie, job
sure.
of all time,
For
like
sure.
best quarterback performance of all time. But at the end of the day, and I made a whole TikTok about it, it got banned. I'll maybe end the podcast on that whole story or something like that. But
Don't gamble, kids.
yeah, apparently. But essentially, like this was like I don't know, like just the whole media jumped on the Jaden Daniels thing, but like at the end of the day, the anomaly ended up being the Commanders in this situation rather than the Eagles. Like I know, yes, the Eagles at the time, especially until after Sunday, of course, they did not look great. The passing game was lacking, for lack of a better term, actually. Like it just wasn't very good. But we did have a good run game. We had to have the number one defense on all of football. And so there was precedent out there that a team like that, built, constructed like that, can win a Super Bowl, which we saw it, and I compared the Eagles to, and not like perfect apples to apples here, but the 2000s Ravens, where Trent Dilfer essentially got dragged kicking and screaming to the Super Bowl and won it because they had Jamal Lewis, a great running back, and an incredible defense in the 2000s Ravens defense. And then, as well as like the 2015 Broncos.
Yeah, Peyton Manning.
He was just a shell of himself in 2015. Just like the injury he suffered in 2014 kind of screwed his season there. But he was able to make just a few plays in that Super Bowl and let the defense and the running backs do their job there. Even I didn't mention this in the video that I actually made, but like Tom Brady in his first Super Bowl, he threw for like 145 yards in that, and I think even like a pick or something like that. But the defense of Bill Belichick did enough for them to stifle the Rams in the Super Bowl, and so it was enough to win the ball game. And so, just like obviously that whole situation, like no rookie quarterback had ever won more than 2 playoff games back to back, or made it to a Super Bowl in general. So he had a lot going against him in that thing, and so like that was the thing that it was unprecedented by what Jaden Daniels was doing. But the narrative was that like the Eagles can't keep getting away with the way that they've been playing, and then they showed up on Sunday and the passing game looked incredible. Like it looked pretty efficient.
Yeah, I think part of the hype around the Commanders was everybody likes an underdog.
For
it's
sure.
kind of like, all right, clearly the Eagles are better, but like go Jaden Daniels. But yeah, the Eagles, I'm not even gonna give them that much credit. The Commanders, I'm just like,
realistically, like. After all the cloudiness of like the hype around Jaden Daniels and the team, like you started to actually see the flaws of the team, and it was like Jaden Daniels, yes, he's playing out of his mind, but like don't have that great of weaponry necessarily.
Not a Super Bowl
on defense.
Team.
Like they're one of the worst run defenses in all of football.
Yeah,
like they really, and like if you really bring it down to like brass tacks, like they were one Baker Mayfield fumble away from getting kicked out in the wild card, and then they got hot, and they felt really good and confident against the Detroit Lions, whose defense was also struggling really bad with the injuries and whatnot. So it was like the perfect storm for them to get to the NFC Championship game, and then the Eagles just essentially proved that they didn't really belong there at the end of the day. Yeah. So it just that's just the way it went. Like dropping a 55 burger on a team in the NFC Championship game has never been done before.
Getting 50 put on you is not optimal.
No. And then, of course, you have 7 rushing touchdowns in the game, which has never happened before either, I don't think. Actually, you know what? I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's tied for like a Chicago Bears team in like 1940, I believe, which so essentially like it just hasn't happened like since real football's been a thing. So like just the Eagles had an all-time offensive output in this game. Saquon, from the first snap, took it 60 yards for a touchdown. The Commanders' first drive was
long and sustained, and they got
18
points.
plays, like 54 yards. They didn't have to go very far, and then it was weird. They like converted 2 fourth down conversions on that, and then eventually settled.
Yeah.
After like getting 2 of them, which I thought was a weird decision. They went to another fourth, and like it was like a 3 or 4, and then they decided to kick the field goal, which I thought was like just kind of giving up. Like you had already gone for it that many times, you might as well keep going for it at that point. Like you're going to be aggressive, be all the way aggressive. Like, I don't know. But like I thought that was like it was crazy that like they did that, kicked a field goal, all that work, and then one play broke it, and it kind of just spelled like the way the game was going to end up going for the rest of the day. So
the Saquon's looked really good. The Eagles' offense looked better. I don't know how much credit you can give them to a defense that isn't awesome, but they looked better. But I think most all of America knew what the Super Bowl was going to be. No one just wanted to accept who the
nobody
Super Bowl
wanted to
was
admit
be.
what they knew was going to happen.
Like most people knew Josh Allen loved the guy, just wasn't going to win. And the Jaden Daniels show eventually was coming to an end, and it did.
Yeah, all of it came together there. And, I mean, realistically, like this was easily the best Jalen Hurts game we've seen all season long, which is a good sign. It's encouraging going forward. I was telling people this morning, like one of my buddies, I was talking to him about how like I'm encouraged by the way the offense looked in this game based on the fact that there were some wrinkles and there were some concepts and some plays in this game that I had never seen. I've watched every single snap of the Eagles this season, and there was concepts I had never seen them run before, which makes me think that like Kellen Moore has a little bit more in the bag than I anticipated. Like I thought it was just going to be the same old, and we're just going to keep getting away with just like winning certain routes because we just have the best players on the field essentially. But like he actually schemed some people. Like Dallas Goedert was open on one of the seam routes, like it was like a little fade route, and so like it was just encouraging. Like there was pop passes, there was jet sweeps with Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. I'd never seen them run that before. There was some more screens, and they tried out a few different run plays. So like that to me was encouraging going forward, saying like maybe the Chiefs have a little bit more to think about going forward when it comes to the game on in a couple weeks here. So, but yeah, Jalen Hurts, best game of his career. I mean that 4th and 5 throw was a ballsy call. It's 14-12. Like the game was pretty much in the balance right there, and to go for it there, you got to give Sirianni a little bit of credit there, just because like a lot of teams would tuck their tail and punt and just hope the defense plays well. They go for it, go ball to A.J. Brown down the left side of the field on Marshawn Lattimore, the guy they traded for midseason for this exact game, this exact situation, and he beat him for it. So just everything came together at one time for the Eagles, and they really needed that confidence, I think, going into the next game.
Yeah, I think for them it's good to see that their offense is good, because if they had just kind of struggled their way through and got Saquon out like through the game, then it would have been like, oh God, like now we're gonna play a team with a much better coached defense. Yeah. But no, they played well. I hate to give them credit, but they played well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the Redskins, there's some hope there because Jaden Daniels is really good, but they have some pieces that they need to fill.
Oh, for sure.
To get to like an Eagles level.
Yeah. Yeah, they got the first big milestone, which was the quarterback, obviously. Yeah. Now it's about, and like the NFC specifically is a very like the way that teams build themselves in the NFC is very similar. It seems like they all like to go through the trenches first before getting anything else, and I think that's a good idea, especially for the Washington Commanders going forward. It's just the fact that I think they need to continue to get that O-line perfect to the point where a nice weapon on the outside to like complement Terry McLaurin would be ideal, but like we can do that in a year or two. Like if I'm a Commanders fan, that's what I'm thinking. Get some more pieces on defense because there's a lot of free agents they're going to have. A lot of people were on 1-year deals.
Because last season they traded for Frankie Louvu, or they
signed.
They signed him, and I think that was Louvu's pretty good. Like that was one where you're like, all right, now we have a pretty solid linebacker.
Yep.
Granted, he jumped over the line like 6 times.
Yeah, that was one thing I'd never seen in the history of the NFL was a ref coming out and saying,
like, we're just going to give
look,
him
dude,
the touchdown.
If you do this again,
Yeah.
like if you keep being annoying, essentially, we can award them a touchdown, which would have been hilarious if they would have kept doing it. Like, I was kind of rooting for that at that point.
That would have been kind of funny. Also, I saw a bunch of memes about Mahomes being like, wait a minute. They can give us
I
points.
found another loophole. That's so funny, actually. But, yeah, no, Eagles get a huge win there, obviously. Like, you don't go into the bully's house and bully them. And I feel like that was, at the end of the day, kind of what the vibe was there. It was like the Eagles were just a more physical team. They were the bigger team. They were the faster team. Like, it was just a perfect storm. And Commanders fans were talking a lot of junk this week.
They had to. They've never been in that situation.
Yeah. And it was crazy. And what's so unfortunate, too, is, like, because, like, the future is so bright for the Commanders. And, like, if I'm a Commanders fan, and, like, I guess it's easy for me to say because I'm an Eagles fan, and, like, we've had a lot of success in the last few years. Really, we've had a lot of success since I've been alive, which is really lucky as a fan. I can say that. But what's a shame is the way that the Commanders fans have reacted to this loss. When it's like you guys are like 2 years ahead of schedule here. Like, you should never feel this bad about losing a game. Like, I know it's a division rival and it stings and whatnot, but dude, there's people on Twitter like pulling up Jalen Carter's like mugshot. They're being kind of bad humans, and it's like it's too much, guys. Like I know like he's good at football. And you just lost, and, like, he's going to be in the Super Bowl, and, like, I know you don't like it, but, like, at the end of the day, like, come on, that's a touch too far there.
Yeah,
like,
no,
that's crazy.
That is a bit much, and I think they got a bit ahead of themselves, too, because, like, as a Panthers fan, Panthers stink, but it's like, hey, 5-12, go us.
Yeah,
like, that's better than before, and you kind of just have to remember where your team was and where they are.
Yeah.
And, like, the Commanders, they took a huge jump, but they're not just going to beat the Eagles, beat Mahomes, and then you're like, well, no. Like, there are much different levels to that.
For sure. And the future does look bright. I will say, like, progress is not always linear either. Because, like, look at C.J. Stroud this year.
Yeah.
Like, he was literally before this year with Jaden Daniels, he was the best rookie quarterback we'd probably ever seen. And then Jaden Daniels did it essentially again. So, like, it's just, you never know what can happen between years. And so that's probably one of the bigger reasons why if Commanders fans do have the perspective of, like, it's just so hard to get back to that point. Like, I understand that perspective because as an Eagles fan 2 years ago, whenever we went to the Super Bowl, I was too naive at that point in time. I was like, oh, our team's young. We got Jalen Hurts. He looked incredible in the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Like, we have a great organization, great. And then 2023 happened, and I saw the collapse at the end of that season. I was like, oh, crap. Like, we literally might never, like, this nucleus that we have as a team might never make it back again. Our season was a disaster. Like, it felt like the sky was falling as a fan. And so, like, I understand now from a perspective of, like, you getting back to an NFC Championship game, let alone a Super Bowl, is not guaranteed whatsoever. So you can't just, like, take it for granted whatsoever.
Yeah.
So
Different sport, same situation. As a UNC basketball fan, you're like, they make it, and then when your team gets knocked out early in March, you're like, wait a minute, that's possible. Like, but we were so, like, the Eagles, you're like, but
we were the team of destiny.
Yeah, like we were so good.
Like it was our year.
Yeah, like what happened? And then you have to just wait till next year, and you're like, well, this stinks.
Yeah,
I thought
things change very quickly in the league, so like
for sure,
it's really unfortunate. Like, and like I said, it sucks right now for Commanders fans. The future does look bright, so like you got to hold on to that at the very least. But the Eagles are just on a different level right now.
They're much better, like player to player. What do you say, Jimmys and Joes?
Yeah, the Jimmys and Joes.
They're just a better team.
For sure. Jimmys and Joes are a little bit better for the Eagles all around the board there. So, next game, obviously, Chiefs versus Bills. This one was a little bit better than I think the Bills and Ravens game that we saw the week before. But, yeah, this game was still fun. Josh Allen and them had a chance at the end of the game here. Like, at least the narrative isn't out there that, like, essentially
Mahomes beat him.
Well, that, like, Josh Allen never got an opportunity at least. Like, at least here there was a shot.
True.
That 4th and 5 was unfortunate. I mean, unfortunate for him.
Tough
but
drop.
Steve Spagnuolo, every time he's gonna dial something up that's gonna screw you, and he threw like 6 or 7 defenders at the line of scrimmage and just came straight to the line.
I saw something, and I might have been Romo talking about it, like maybe last season, but he's like every like big third or fourth down, like he's coming, like he's gonna make your quarterback make a quick decision.
Yeah, he's got to make a quick decision, and he's gonna hope you're inaccurate with whatever.
Yeah, he's like, because I guess Josh Allen's throw was good, but
it was pretty good. Yeah,
but you're like, if I'm bringing 6, this guy has 2 seconds to throw. If he throws a dot, then oh well.
Yeah, then more power to you.
But you can't just let him sit there and scan.
Yeah, like, and if you catch that ball, all the momentum shifts, obviously, but, like, that's the risk he's willing to take in order to get the job done. And, like, it was 4th and 5. That was for the game.
Well, then Allen made a superhero throw.
Oh,
like
backpedaling like crazy and just ripped it.
Yeah, and you're like,
it had a chance, and Kincaid just let it fall right through his hands, essentially.
Him and Mark Andrews should become friends. They should have, like, start a little
the
therapy
tight end
circle.
drop group. Jeez, man. Yeah, it's been 2 back-to-back, just, bad.
But the Bills, they showed up as most people, like James Cook played well.
He did.
Obviously, Josh Allen did what he does.
He played well.
And the Chiefs, I don't know, they're still winning. It's like, but they're winning these games that are not.
Yep. Mahomes had one of his best games of the season. They finally scored over 30 points in the game, which they hadn't done all season long. Yeah. It just took the AFC Championship game to get it done. But Pat Mahomes continues to just do whatever it takes to win ball games, and I don't know. There's nothing else you can really say.
It's just like I saw there, like every Chiefs player that needed to make a play did. Yeah, like Kelsey did when he needed to. Mm-hmm. Worthy did when he needed to. Like the backup tight end, 83, whatever his name is.
Noah Gray.
Yeah, he did. And then like Samaje Perine closes the game.
He did. You're like, he closed the door.
You're like, really? Like
he can catch out of the backfield.
You're like, he's the one. Like you would think of so, and you're like, huh?
Yeah, Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco. Nope. Samaje.
Yeah, you're about to get third string running back. You're like, well, that's just because that. Once you saw the trips on the left, it's like, all right, they're either running a bubble screen or like a rub route.
Yeah,
and there he went.
Crazy. Yeah. Just Mahomes, I mean, hasn't not made an AFC Championship game, let alone a Super Bowl, since he's been a starter, which is just ridiculous.
He's been a starter for what, 7 seasons?
I believe so. I think it's
and
7.
He's lost
7 or 6.
2 quarterbacks in the playoffs.
Only twice ever.
And one of them's Brady, which doesn't even count.
One of them's Brady, and one was Burrow.
Burrow got him once.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's insane what he's been able to do, and like. For my money, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Everybody likes to say Brady still, but I don't know. He is the Michael Jordan, by far, of this era. Yeah, I mean, because he is constantly keeping a guy like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow at bay, just like Michael Jordan did back in his prime with like the Charles Barkleys of the world, the Pat Ewings of the world, like.
It's like you just don't have a chance.
Yeah, you're gonna end your career, unfortunately, with a ton of accolades and 0 Super Bowls. Yeah, and that's just gonna be the way it goes.
Well, and that's why I would say on like talent wise, the NFC is so much more talented, but it's so much more open. Like
I don't know the AFC like. Quarterback wise, they have way more talent. But I feel like team wise, more complete teams in the NFC for sure. Yeah. But the AFC is just like so quarterback driven right now, and it's just like that's usually the way games go is based on whoever has the better quarterback, unless you just have a ridiculous roster, which is the only reason the Eagles are in this position right now is they just have put together the best constructed roster in football. So, which is another shout out to Howie Roseman. He's been doing a ridiculous job.
Yeah. But I feel bad. I not feel bad for Josh Allen, but it's like. Man. Yeah, and Mahomes even said he's like it stinks that like we're always the team that knocks him out because Josh Allen, has he lost anyone other than Mahomes in the playoffs? I feel like they always meet either in the AFC Championship or before.
That's a good question. I actually don't know. Now that you say that, I feel like it might be just Mahomes.
Because I think they met last year in the round before that.
They did.
They went to Buffalo.
Correct.
And
Yep, they lost that one against Kansas City.
Because didn't the Chiefs also have to go to Baltimore?
Yes. And last year in the AFC Championship game, it was in Baltimore. Yeah. They won that one. Josh Allen has played Lamar Jackson a couple times, and he's won both of those, I believe. So I don't think Lamar's beaten him. I think it might actually be that way.
I think so too, and that's just
crazy.
That's gotta suck.
Yeah, he's like the
bro,
only.
I'm running
speed
into
bump.
the same dude every single year.
He's gotta at this point almost hope that just like the way I don't know, the way the seeding works out most years, that he just doesn't see him until at least the AFC Championship game. And he's just got to hope Mahomes loses before that.
Well, that's
just hasn't happened yet. So.
When Burrow did it, it was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So this is possible.
Yeah. Which is
no
Brady
way.
and Burrow. That's it. That's wild. But yeah, Chiefs get the job done, obviously. Bills, unfortunate once again. But one thing I do want to say, too, is just like I think straight up the Chiefs outcoached the Bills in general. Like the QB sneak thing where they just only went to the left guard and try to push it that way. Yeah. I thought that was coaching malpractice. Well, like at least switch it up a little bit.
They used Mahomes' legs way more than normal.
They did. Yeah, they couldn't stop him rolling out right.
Yeah.
Every single time he did it, it was a first down because he was either going to like pop pass it to somebody or he was just going to scramble.
Well,
there's
no one with him. No. Like it was like guy had a guy, and he was just
every single time he did that. It was when they were in man coverage because as soon as they're in man coverage, their backs are turned. In zone coverage, you're looking at the QB.
Yeah.
And so, like, he notices that, and he's just like, I'm just going to get out of the pocket real quick
because I know.
Yards. Yeah, he's like, I know my pocket's not going to be great.
Yeah.
Might as well get out of here, and it'll give me the option to run if I have to.
Because he's not fast, but he's not slow.
Correct.
Like he'll get his yards.
Yeah.
But at least Josh Allen got one ring this season.
He did. That's not a bad
ring. I was going to say, I mean,
good for him.
People were like, I feel bad for him. And someone was like,
don't feel too bad now.
Like, dude's making X amount of money with a supermodel wife. Like, I think he's okay.
Yeah, he'll be all right for sure.
He'll live.
And eventually, like, it'll probably play itself out kind of like how the Peyton and Tom Brady era kind of did, where, like, eventually he's gonna pop out that window and like he's gonna like bust through and they'll eventually win one somewhere along the lines.
Mahomes is older, isn't he?
I think by like maybe a year or two max, but not by a whole lot though.
Yeah, I also you see Chris Jones crying after the game. People were like, "Dude, you've won this game 6 times or something."
This is gonna be your third year in a row, brother. Like,
dude, why are you crying? Like, this is not. You're not Josh Allen. Like, this isn't new. Mm-hmm. You've been used to winning for a long time, brother.
That's pretty silly. But I mean,
I get it. Emotions.
Yeah, sure. They're trying to make history, get that three-peat. I mean, that's like as much as you said, like the United States of America did not want this matchup at the end of the day because they just they've been tired of like two great teams coming together for the most part in the Super Bowl. But like at the end of the day, like the storylines are still good. People are just tired of them. Like three-peat is history. You get to witness that. Or the Eagles, like one of the greatest constructed rosters of all time, wins a Super Bowl. And
Saquon gets to show what he can do
and
to a team.
Saquon is the storyline for the Eagles right now. So and just like the narrative and kind of disrespect on Jalen Hurts in general. Like, is he getting dragged by his team? Like,
for sure, 1,000%.
In a way,
1,000%.
But he still played good. Had 3 touchdowns.
Beat the Commanders. Everybody clap it up for Jalen.
We'll get to this a little bit later, but I have a good feeling.
Of course.
All right, let's go ahead and head into the head coaching news. First one here, Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer. They dropped this on a Friday night at about 10 o'clock while everybody in Dallas-Fort Worth was out at dinner or at a bar getting hammered so that nobody would see it because they were embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
I just think this is a ridiculous hire. Like, he was the offensive coordinator for Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're just hiring within. Like, you just got rid of McCarthy for the exact reason why. Like, I mean, it was just too much of the same old. And you just literally hired his OC.
No, at that level, it's like you might as well just keep McCarthy and be like, well, we're just going to hope it gets better.
Run it back.
Yeah, not like we'll take his predecessor and hope it gets better.
It's very clear that Jerry Jones just needs like a puppet.
Yeah.
And that, like, he knows he's comfortable with the guy. He's had the guy in the building for years now. He, like, knows him very well. And he just needs a yes man more than anything right now. And I just think that's just not the way to go about it for the Cowboys.
Especially when your team's not doing very well.
Yeah.
You need change.
They're going to be in a world of hurt for a long time, probably. Like, look, honestly, like, this all seems so bad right now that I almost want to, like, bet Cowboys make the playoffs because of how down in the dumps everybody is about it. That like I can just see now a storyline of everybody hated the Brian Schottenheimer, and then like they make the playoffs or something. They're still going to lose in the first round. Let's not get twisted.
No, for sure.
But like I can see that storyline right now. Like they're playing the wild card. Nobody thought they'd be here. Like I can see it. But like either way, I just think it's a ridiculous high.
Their division's like now stacked. Like it used to just be the Eagles. Now you got the Commanders. Granted, the Giants kind of stink.
Yeah.
But you're like you have two pretty.
But they're going to get themselves
teams.
a QB at least. So
that's true.
We'll see.
That's true.
Next one, Liam Cohen, Jaguars. Weird situation where he was with Tampa Bay, obviously, as the offensive coordinator. He goes and does an interview with the Jags, and he essentially leaves the interview. Jags want to hire him. They think they're like really like on the like 1 yard line of getting it done, and then he's like, "Just kidding. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to be the highest paid offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers." And then the Jaguars were like, "Please don't do that. We will fire Trent Baalke as like we're not going to go forward with him as our GM," which I think was the holdup in the first place because he has been a disaster for a long time for that franchise and many franchises before that. And so they fired him finally, which is like 2 weeks too late, but whatever. And then Liam Cohen was just like, "All right, I'll come back." Yeah. And then they signed the contract. And now he is the head coach of the Jags. So. I like what he did, obviously, with Baker Mayfield. Hopefully he can do that with Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence is very talented. He just hasn't had really great structure around him since he's been in the league. Like I thought Doug Peterson was going to be able to bring that out of him, but I feel like Doug Peterson's offensive coordinator hire was a disaster as well. So hopefully all this works out for Trevor at the end of the day, and they're just kind of a competent franchise.
Yeah, the Jaguars were a weird team because 2 years ago it was like, oh, there's so much promise.
Yeah.
And then last year they were just awful.
Just a disaster.
But with Brian Thomas.
Like,
he's good.
He's a stud.
Yeah, he's a stud. Is Travis Etienne healthy?
Not very often.
Yeah.
I mean, right now he probably is. I think he's going to be fine going into next season, but like, that way, I will say one of the interesting things. I can't remember who said it on Twitter, but I read it somewhere and it was like, I'm going to be curious if like he tries to use Travis Etienne in the same role that he had Bucky Irving in this year. And I was like, that's a good point. Like that might tip the scales enough for me to like maybe think about drafting Travis Etienne in some fantasy leagues because I have always stayed away from him just because like I just don't know, he's kind of on the smaller side.
Yeah.
And he keeps getting hurt, like you were saying there. And I was just like, I just like to avoid injuries.
Especially
like injury-prone guy. Yeah, especially at running back. But, like, he is relatively talented. It's just he's had some issues the last few years keeping himself healthy. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Liam Cohen does with the Jags. Next one, Pete Carroll to the Raiders. This one was – I thought it was shocking. I just didn't think Pete Carroll was going to get back in the league, which, I mean, I guess – the Raiders right now just kind of want competency, and obviously Tom Brady's kind of the guy that's like the puppet master right now. He's kind of running the show in Las Vegas right now as like that minority stakes holder or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that for the most part, Mark Davis has just kind of given him the reins to do whatever he wants to there. And I think he's just like, I played against Pete in Super Bowls. Like the dude he knows how to coach at the very least. Like he's going to bring some type of like, just like a name value, and it's not going to be just some Joe Schmo out there or whatever.
It's kind of the same value as Jim Harbaugh. You're like, we've
builds
seen
culture.
This guy before, for
sure. Yeah, I think in that regard, it's not a bad hire. It just comes down to like who you get for quarterback. Like I don't think you go into the season with Aiden O'Connell as your guy again. No. Like I just don't think that's viable. Like I would even take like, and I don't know like what the parameters of all this are, but like I would even take a swing if I'm the Raiders at somebody that's just fun. Like go get me like a Justin Fields. Like I know he's not a finished product. He's not like great necessarily, but like at least he's competent and he's fun to watch. Yeah. Like he's gonna run. He's gonna like make plays here and there. Show. Yeah, he's gonna put on a show. He can get the ball to Brock Bowers on a drag route. Yeah. I mean, like, come on. Like, so I kind of like it. We'll see if it works out in the long run there, but.
Did you see his interview? Marshawn Lynch was there, and he was like, Oakland.
Yeah, he was like, Raider. I saw that earlier today, and I was talking to my buddy, and I was like, I think that's like kind of ironic that he's there because like he's kind of been on record in the past saying that like he was kind of pissed off at Pete Carroll for not giving him the ball in that Super Bowl, and so it's just funny that like they've kind of like rekindled like a little bit of a relationship there. So that's kind of nice for them. But either way, next one, Aaron Glenn to the Jets. Aaron Glenn, I thought, did a great job with what he had to do there in Detroit, especially with all the injuries and what he was still able to do when they had a ton of people going down. So I really like everybody like here that says they've either played for him or played with him or whatever it may be, or worked with him in general, says that he's an incredible guy, like a great leader, whatever. I think that's a good spot to start if you're the Jets, where like you just need some like more stability.
Yeah.
And like as long as like everybody kind of collectively in the NFL respects him and likes him as a person, that's a good starting point.
For sure.
Especially for a Jets franchise that's just kind of like all over the place. It's just dysfunctional all over the place. And
that's why the Cowboys are kind of in the crap. You're like, everyone's like,
this
like really?
Yeah,
that's who you pick. But the Jets are also a team like they have some dudes like
the defense is ready to go for the most part.
Yeah, and
like they need a few more pieces. But
it kind of depends on Aaron Rodgers' gameplay, but like, and I don't know if they'll keep Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
So
I think Rodgers goes before Garrett does. I don't know. Apparently, Aaron Glenn and Aaron Rodgers are supposed to meet together and like kind of figure out if like they want to continue this relationship, like with the teams or with the team and Aaron. But I don't know. I feel like it would be dumb for the Jets to move off of Garrett Wilson based on the fact that they brought back, Rodgers. I think you move on from Rodgers rather.
Yeah, I think Rodgers also, his issue is I think he's a little bit like cuckoo upstairs. Like I think he still thinks he's a Super Bowl 4-time MVP. Like it's not really. I mean,
it's not any.
Yeah, I'm like,
and I guess there is a little bit of room for giving him the benefit of the doubt because it is hard the exact year after an Achilles. It's always better the year after the year after. But he is also still 40 plus.
True.
And so it's like, is it going to be the way it normally is for Achilles type recoveries where it's like it is better? Or like because of his age, is it 2 years away from where he like should? And then at that point, you're pushing 44 or 45 or whatever. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are you going to play more than Tom Brady did? Like, I don't know. So it's just going to be interesting what they decide to do there in New York for sure. All right, that pretty much wraps it up for the head coaching news. Let's go on to the Super Bowl preview. It's obviously Eagles versus Chiefs. The Chiefs are 1.5-point favorites right now. What is your initial thought there?
I think that it will be it'll be a low scoring game. I think both defenses.
I think the over/under is like 49.5 or something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I just think the Chiefs defense are not as good like player by player as the Eagles, but I think they're a little bit better coached with Spags, and so I don't think the Eagles or the Chiefs will let Saquon do Saquon. Like I think Saquon will still get his maybe like 100 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
But I think they will let anyone else do something that isn't him because he's done it all year. But I think when push comes to shove, I think Jalen Hurts just throws the game away.
Oh God, of course.
How about yourself?
I mean, he just hasn't thrown a pick in the playoffs, so
that's always due. What you're saying?
That's fair.
That's what you're saying.
That's fair. I don't normally like doing this. I'm normally in like
an understanding of like against fan.
Yeah, I'm usually very pessimistic about a lot of situations. Like if you would have seen, like you knew me a little bit last year when the collapse was kind of happening, and like anybody would have asked me last year, like I told so many people going into that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game or the Eagles playing them in Tampa in that wild card round. I told so many people the day before, literally bet your mortgage on the Buccaneers money line. Like the Eagles are favored in the game, and I was just like, "There's no way."
Well, they'd lost like 5 in a row.
Yeah, like 6 in a row,
limping into the playoffs.
Absolutely, and I was like people were like, "No, it's the playoffs. They're going to turn this switch." I'm like, "There's no switch this year." I'm telling you,
it's off.
Like I know the team.
The
like I know
unplugged.
Yeah.
The switch
the outlet the outlet doesn't even work.
Yeah, it's burned out.
Yeah, somebody didn't pay the bill.
Yeah,
it's literally. And so like I have been to a situation where like I watch the Eagles and say they don't have it. Yeah. They need to fix a lot of problems.
Especially when you watch your team, so like you know.
Like, I've watched every snap for the past,
good
5 years at least.
Good and bad, you know. Like, you know when your team's got something where you're like, oh, wow.
And so with all that being said, like, I'm normally not this guy, but I have a good feeling the Eagles are going to just win this game. I don't know what it is. I just have, like, this conviction about it.
In what way? Like,
I just think, like, at the end of the day, like, so 2 years ago, we go into that game and, like, our eyes had deceived us about the way our defense was playing, the Eagles specifically, and the way Jonathan Gannon was coaching things on the defensive side of the ball. And it was like, the Eagles have the most sacks since the 85 Bears. Their D-line is incredible, blah, blah, blah. The problem is the Eagles hadn't played a singular good quarterback all season long. They had this cakewalk all the way to the Super Bowl that year. We hadn't played a good quarterback. And it was just like, what happens when we run into somebody that can get out of bad situations like pretty consistently and make plays outside the pocket, outside of structure and things like that, and like can avoid sacks and stuff of that nature. And it really showed that our back seven was not as good as we thought it was. It got cooked. And then Jonathan Gannon did not help with the way that he coached the defense, where it was like, it was super bend, don't break, but it was just bend, and then break anyways. Which also led to the fact that, like, the Eagles offense was having one of the better outputs in the history of, like, the Super Bowl. Like, that was one of the biggest offensive performances in the history of the Super Bowl, and we just couldn't even get the ball back for Jalen Hurts and the offense to try to win the game because they just let the clock, like, get killed by Pat Mahomes and that offense. They were just matriculating down the field every single drive, and it was just like, it was like watching, like, paint dry. You were like,
just
I know what's going to happen here. Like, this is it. Pat Mahomes is going to go down. He's going to like kill the clock, kick a field goal. He's going to get out of here with a W. And it was painful to watch. This year, at the very least, like, the defense, we've played good quarterbacks. We haven't seen Patrick Mahomes, obviously, which is a big deal because he is the best one.
Have you seen Josh Allen?
Have not seen Josh Allen. Have seen Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Well, I mean, look. Offensively, they're good.
Okay, I'll give you Burrow, but their team stinks.
Well, their defense stunk.
I feel like they have 4 offensive players. Well, I'll say 5. I'll say 2 receivers, a quarterback, a running back, and a tight end.
I just think at this point, this defense is actually built to stop somebody. Not stop. I won't say stop. You can't. You're not going to stop Mahomes. I don't think
that's possible.
But, like, they're going to be able to make a few plays here and there. And, like, if you watch what happened, I know it's the Commanders and it's a different ball game. It's Jaden Daniels, who's a rookie. But, like, that first drive that took 18 plays and they only went 54 yards, it was like pulling teeth getting yardage. Like, every single yard you had to earn like crazy. And I just think over the course of time, I know Mahomes is going to be patient and he's going to get the ball out of his hands to his playmakers and whatnot. But I think at a certain point, a big sack is going to come. Jalen Carter up the middle, especially the fact they moved Joe Thuney from left guard to left tackle. That brings in a backup guy at guard, just like they had to do for the Commanders, where they had Sam Cosmi go on the IR because of a torn ACL.
But aren't they just going to double team him?
Well, it doesn't matter. If you double team them, then we got one-on-ones everywhere else. That's what we would prefer. Like, I just think, like, matchup-wise, this is the bet. Like, the back seven can cover Cooper DeJean in the slot, Quinyon Mitchell and Darius Slay on the outside. Like, we're going to be able to stay in the hip pocket of all these receivers, and Mahomes is going to have to make perfect throws. And he can do it. He can make perfect throws. He's just going to have to do it for 60 minutes. And I feel like at a certain point, just like in the game against the Bills where Jordan Phillips was able to get up the middle and sack Mahomes there and give Josh Allen that chance to go down and potentially win the game, which he wasn't able to execute, I think we're going to get chances to do it. And I think we can get it done just because of how balanced our offense is. I think Jalen Hurts is good enough to get it done. I'm not saying he's better than Josh Allen by any stretch, or Pat Mahomes, or Lamar Jackson, or Joe Burrow. I'm not saying he's better than any of those guys, but I think he can make enough plays, especially with how much attention you have to give to everybody else. Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith. We are the hardest team by far to cover. And then you also have to worry about Jalen Hurts in the run game too. So, like, you have so many things to think about. And I know Spags is the man, but at the end of the day, I think there's going to be some holes, and they're going to be able to take advantage of them. So I like the Eagles money line straight up.
Do you think it's a close game? Like, do you?
Yeah, I don't like. I would welcome with open arms a blowout, obviously. But
48-6.
Yeah, but I don't see it going that way just because Pat Mahomes is never going to die. So like, I think it's like within 7 to 3 points. Like it's not going to be it's going to be a 1-score game, I believe, coming down to the end there. So
if the Eagles lose, what do you think causes that to happen?
I think it is mostly due to Spags cooking up perfect blitzes at perfect times.
Yeah.
I personally think that's the only way they win. Is like Spags throws an absolute perfect game, essentially. Like otherwise, I think the Eagles can win in just about every other fashion.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a lot of confidence.
It is a lot. I'm telling you, I've
watched the Eagles
on the
next podcast.
That it might. Look, I did it 2 years ago, but like I had false hope last time that like because we went in that game 2 years ago and we were thinking we are the best team on paper by far, but they do have Mahomes that could win them the game, and it did. But I will say 2 years ago their defense was better than it is right now. Weaponry, I would say, is very comparable. Probably a little bit better this year when it comes to who they have on offense. Like
even without Tyreek
wasn't there 2 years ago.
Right.
That was the year after. So they only had like Juju had a pretty good game that year, which he had a good game against the Bills, which is funny that he left for a year, came back, and is still a good player for them, which is really funny, and especially considering they have D-Hop and Marquise Brown and
Kelsey.
Xavier Worthy and Kelsey's still there, and they brought back Kareem Hunt for this one. Pacheco is back.
He's starting running back.
See, that's the thing. They've been splitting carries. I don't know. I think, like I said, Pacheco, I don't think is 100%, so they're not giving him like the full-blown load. But I think when healthy, he is the best running back they have by far, and he was a big part of the game plan 2 years ago, and he like ran pretty well against us. And like that was another thing that kind of presented itself too, was our run defense was not as good as we thought it was until we ran into a really good O-line in the Chiefs. And a really, really good, just like offensive coordinator, essentially, which is Andy Reid, just calling plays for them, knowing when to run, when to pass, and stuff like that. But like I said, this year, like Chiefs O-line still good, but not as good as it was when they had their All-Pro, where he's supposed to be playing at left guard rather than left tackle. Like they have weaknesses on the O-line, which I think is going to help us in the long run.
So you think the Eagles are like the complete, like they're the team of destiny, like they are the. So okay, so then when they
lose, are you gonna cry?
Well,
yes.
Like
No.
what if they do lose? Like, what do you think what would need to change, or would it just be like we got Mahomes again?
We got Mahomes. Yeah, I'm dead serious. Like that's it. You just run into the buzzsaw that is the Michael Jordan of our era. You just got to hope for a slip up, and that's like I'm hoping our team is good enough for the slip up. You got to take advantage of there's another factor of like the revenge factor. Like that plays into it. I think that played into the Commanders game as well. Like there was so much crap talk going on and the disrespect to Jalen Hurts and everybody saying, the Eagles everywhere else is better than the Commanders except for QB. And I think Jalen Hurts heard that and was like, all right, bro, I hear you. Like, and it's funny after the game, I don't know if you heard the comment, but somebody asked Jalen Hurts about Nick Sirianni, and he said, yeah, he finally let me out of my straitjacket. Yeah. And I was just like, I don't even know how to interpret that. I don't even know if that means all season long they essentially were just play so conservative to the point where you don't turn the ball over, even if you're turning down throws and you're taking sacks that are even detrimental to our team. As long as you don't turn it over, we're going to win. And then in the NFC Championship game, they're like, let it rip. And then he did, and it looked good. And it's is that how this whole thing has been? Is that why he's looked like dog crap all season? Essentially, I don't know. If that's the case, and we have this next level that we can reach because they have essentially taken the leash off of Jalen Hurts, then I think the sky's the limit.
Well, also if the leash is off, that means the mistakes come.
Correct. Yeah, you're right.
Because he could do what he did, or he could throw 3 picks, and you're like, whoa, what?
Yeah, and we just gonna have to take it or leave it. It's the Super Bowl. You gotta put it all out there. It's the last game of the season. It doesn't matter at that point.
Can't hold anything back.
Yes. Honestly, can the narrative get any worse than it was last week against about Jalen Hurts? Like at this point, like if he throws an interception to lose the game in the Super Bowl, like is it any worse than what they were saying 2 weeks ago about him? Like no. So like there's only upside for him narratively, like just in the view of the public about how he's viewed up against some of these other great quarterbacks that we see. So,
let it rip. You really think the Eagles are going to win?
I do.
Wow.
Yep.
It's
insane.
I can see it, but I can
see it.
I just think the Chiefs.
I saw it in my dreams too. That helps.
Wow, really?
I'm dead serious.
I could believe
in
that.
week 2.
Wow.
Which is like insane, and like it's almost weird for me to even say it, but like I literally like it was a really weird and vivid dream, and so like I've almost like I wonder if that's like that's almost weird to like say that like I don't know that I'm like helping
Logan Hill.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even like trying to take credit for something like that, but like in week 2 I literally had a dream where I saw Jalen Hurts holding the Lombardi up on the little stage or whatever they have, but I was watching it from like the perspective of me watching myself in my living room, looking at the TV and saying, going to the Super Bowl 2 years ago was worth it. Yeah. So I was watching myself saying that while watching the TV of him holding the Lombardi. It was a really weird dream, but I was just like, and then I woke up the next morning, I was like, thank God we won the Super Bowl, and now like I don't have to look back on that experience as like traumatizing and a waste of money and like a waste of like an experience. And then I woke up and I was like, daggone it, that wasn't real. I was like, crap.
Check your phone. It's week 2.
Yeah, it's week 2. Like, crap. That's literally the dream I had, but not saying that like I can get my soul crushed, obviously, and that's exactly what Pat Mahomes does. He is a soul crusher. He's the Grim Reaper.
He is.
He comes for you no matter who you are, what you believe.
Also, there is an aspect of the refs that is there. Whether people talk about it or not, it's a thing that people like to bring light to. Are the games unfairly called? Yeah,
and I don't like to be that guy either. But geez, like especially after what happened in 2022 with like the hold, which like yes, was it a hold? But like, were they also doing that all game long? And they were kind of letting them play until 1 minute left in the game. It's like, why are you calling that now?
Yeah.
Like, this is not the time to be like, especially considering like the NFL is like this entertainment business where like you want the best product on the field, you want the most drama. The most drama would have been, let them kick the field goal. It was 4th down or whatever. It was 3rd down whenever that incompletion happened, and they called the hold or whatever. So they ran more time off, which essentially gave the Eagles like 20 seconds or whatever it was, or 10 seconds. I don't even remember. But the more drama would have been let them kick that field goal and then give Jalen Hurts and the offense a minute 30 with 2 timeouts to go down and see if they can tie it, take it to overtime. Who doesn't like free football in the Super Bowl?
True.
Like that is what you like live for. But then it's just like then there's the narrative of like they want Pat Mahomes to be the new Tom Brady, and is there like a little bit of like finagling happening with that? And it's like I don't want to like bring it to that ever.
Yeah.
But it feels a little slimy sometimes with them, and so it's just like.
It's easy to always blame. Like you can blame the ref for any game all the time.
Correct. Yeah, any team can really do it at any time. Like even the Chiefs fans can tell you, like there were some blown calls in certain situations for the other team as well. But yeah, I don't like going that direction. But yeah, I just
I don't know. When push comes to shove for me, I think Mahomes is just like the man.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I don't think the Chiefs' offense is great. I think they do enough to win. Yeah, and it's the same with their defense. Their defense isn't great.
They make enough plays to win. Yeah,
like I agree. They'll do enough to win the game, and I just I feel like
they're really good in those high leverage situations.
Yeah, it's also I guess Hurts has been to the Super Bowl too, but like if there's any
the experience
team
factor
to
too.
Not panic, it's the entire Chiefs team. Like they've all been there for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not a team to, and I like. Because, like, you look at Saquon, never been there.
Nope.
So, like, all of a sudden, like, he coughs it up or something.
Dude, my worst nightmare is, like, him fumbling to essentially lose the game.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a disaster.
Because then he was
just, like, he was the best, basically the best player all season long, and to lose if it's literally
his own
if it's literally a week 2 situation where he drops the pass to essentially seal the game.
It's
like that's the guy that did it.
Really.
See, that was my thing about even watching the Commanders. I felt good about that game all week long. I was if we get outplayed and it's 38-31 and it's a clean game from both teams and we just got outplayed, I can accept that loss with just purity. I'm fine with that. But if we lose because of
some stupid
a fumble by the greatest player the Eagles have ever had, basically that's where I'm okay, guys, that was fluky to a point where it's okay. But I would just a clean game. And people are man, I feel like you're playing the refs and the Chiefs now, and it's so do you have to win by 14 plus in order for them to not have a real shot? And it's man, I don't know if the Eagles got it in them to blow them out.
I have seen a bunch of videos about it was for the Bills, but it's and the Eagles get their revenge, and then Romo goes, "Hold on, there's a late flag."
There's a late flag. Yeah. I saw the Bills one about that.
Pass interference.
Yeah.
Cooper
Jim, there's a late flag. Oh.
First down.
Jeez.
Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, that's burned in my mind.
Yeah. I don't know. It should be an exciting game. I just really don't want the Eagles to win. But I really also don't really want the Chiefs to win.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I'd rather see
the old meteor strike, huh?
Yeah. Some big lightning bolt. But I'd rather see the Chiefs win because I want the Eagles. Because I just think, as an Eagles hater, it would be so funny for their whole franchise to have the greatest team assembled and just not be able to win.
Yeah. Well, we thought that way 2 years ago too. We're we had the best team on paper and we still lost. The Mahomes factor. And it's this year we're running it back. Yeah. We're doing the exact same thing.
It's funny too because I think if the Bills won, it'd have been Eagles by 20.
Dude. I was telling everybody, I was I'm rooting for the Bills. Yeah. Do not get me wrong, but I am betting on the Chiefs. I'm putting my money on the Chiefs. Sure. And I did say after the Super Bowl and after last year, just in general, and that run that they went on in the playoffs, I did tell myself, and so I'm going back on my own word, which is not ideal, but I did tell pretty much everybody I know, I don't think I'm ever betting against Patrick Mahomes ever again. I can't help myself. I have this weird gut feeling that the Eagles are going to be able to get it done. They don't. It is what it is. It's Mahomes. He's just the greatest of all time, and it just you just gotta have to accept it. It sucks because last time I was it was just I thought it was going to be easier to be able to get back, and I'm not taking this opportunity. I'm not taking this for granted, but I can't believe we got back again, and it's you gotta capitalize.
Yeah, you have to be able to get it done
because you never know,
especially when you get another chance at it. Correct. You look at the 49ers, they were there, they didn't win, they did not get back.
Yeah. So, and also while all this is also going on, you got the Commanders sneaking up on you in the division. You got some other teams are in the NFC that are
the
continuing.
Lions are gonna want to come back.
Correct. You got a lot of teams that are nipping at
Bucks
your heels.
Gonna be happy.
You got to get it done before you get caught. Essentially,
the Rams. First time they got there, they won. It was go us. Or second time, go team.
So,
who knows? What's your score prediction?
I know you said you think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be kind of high scoring.
Really?
I'm thinking 38-31, something like that.
Wow. I was thinking 21-17.
Honestly, if it's 21-17, I feel really good about the Eagles. I feel like the lower the score is, the better the defense is playing, and the more opportunities we get. So, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go.
Do you have a hot take on the game? Someone to do something that doesn't normally happen?
Honestly, not really. I think the guys that are going to get the ball are always the guys that get the ball. You're going to get multiple opportunities from A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Saquon's going to definitely get his touches. Jalen Hurts is going to get his runs in. On the other side of the ball, Mahomes. It's a little bit weird with the Mahomes offense because you just don't know who's going to be the guy that kind of steps up. And that's it's kind of hard to defend because of that. And it's you don't know if it's going to be a D-Hop game. You don't know if it's going to be. Which I don't know. I don't know if D-Hop.
He's got something to prove too.
For sure, he definitely. He's never sniffed this.
No,
for sure. So Like, is it going to be a Travis Kelce game? Like, are we going to like take him lightly because of the way he's played all season long, kind of thing? Like, are we going to really like hone in on him and just make everybody else beat you? Because I mean, it's just realistically a lot of more unproven play. Like Hollywood Brown has catch issues, but he's still a good player. Like Xavier Worthy's a rookie. Like, is he gonna come up clutch in the biggest game of his life? Obviously, so Juju's been there, done that. Actually, essentially defeated the Eagles by the whole hold situation itself. So I don't know.
I saw something about, or no, I was thinking about this. How what if the Chiefs didn't use Kelce versus the Bills to just like
throw the sin off?
Yeah, like hide be like, he's just not the guy anymore, and then he goes like 12 for 150 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't think you take him lightly. Like if I'm the Eagles, if I'm Vic Fangio, I am packing the middle of the field.
Well, they just find the soft spots.
Exactly.
Like they just
sit in
zones.
I'm condensing that middle of the field because that's where Pat has been just picking people apart with the zones and whatnot. And then the man coverage, he slides out of the pocket and then he just runs if he has to. And so like he's really hard to defend, obviously. And so I think you condense the middle and you make Pat Mahomes throw outside the numbers and just hope that their receivers crap the bed. Yeah. That's literally the hope there. It's just like you rush 4, you have everybody else in coverage. You hope Jalen Carter puts somebody on their rear and you got a 300-pounder in Mahomes' face quickly. Yeah. That's what I'm banking on, is essentially the D-line creating problems.
Yeah. So. Yeah, my hot takes are there's 2 things. One, I think Jalen Hurts throws 2 picks.
Ugh.
I think he goes 1 early.
I think I would go hide in a hole for the rest of my life.
I think he throws 2 picks, and then I think the Eagles special teams has some big blop.
They did that 2 years ago.
Yeah,
that changed the tide of the game. Was the Kadarius Toney punt?
Yeah,
the shank of the punt, and then Kadarius Toney returned it to like the 5 or 2 yard line or something like that.
I don't know. I feel like because it's the same with Butker. Like you're like he's just been there for so many, but that
is another big thing. Jake Elliott has not been great.
Yeah,
so like that could rear its ugly head in a bad time.
So it's just one of those things where like the Chiefs dynasty, it's like, well, what's a position you don't really think about that you need? It's like a kicker. Like you need the Chiefs, when Mahomes gets off the field, it's in Butker's hands. Like he has full faith that they're going to win that game.
I mean, you ask all the New England fans over the years, like you had Vinatieri, then you had Gostkowski, and those 2 guys were clutch, and they kicked field goals like it was their job in the playoffs. Tom Brady, how many Super Bowls has he won based off of field goals? Like, it was like 4.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many it actually is, but like off the top of my head, I just see, like, I can see in my mind, like, all those field goals to win ball games at the end of the games.
Three.
Just get me 3 to win the game. That's it. So, I mean, he did it against the Eagles for sure. So that sucked in 2004. But, yeah. And then I think against the Panthers as well.
Yeah.
And so I think 3 off the top of my head, and the Rams game. So, yeah, that's crazy. But, yeah, kickers could play a huge factor in that. I mean, it takes all 53 in a Super Bowl to get it done. So
it does.
It's pretty crazy.
Final question is, who wins the coin toss?
Ooh, dude, I love betting on this. Like, in 2022, it was funny. I had a parlay going, and it was coin toss, length of the national anthem.
I have a story about that.
And then Eagles money line. And I hit both of the first 2, and then the Eagles lost at the end.
One of my friends in college's mom was the interpreter for the sign language lady for the national anthem.
Wow.
So she knew how long it was going.
Ooh.
And so she told her son.
No
So they
way.
all just hammered the over on the national, or whatever it was.
Did they win?
Yeah, because she knew exactly how many seconds it was gonna go.
Oh my!
Like how long?
Dude, I would have bet.
Yeah,
literally
how long the lady was gonna hold each note.
Yeah,
like she was
because she had to do the whole.
So she knew the exact amount of time. Like that's great.
Which Super Bowl was that?
Last one.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like man, especially if you knew that, you could go like $1,000. it's
1,000.
50-50, yeah.
I'm talking.
Yeah.
We're bringing. I'm
Yeah.
selling things.
Yeah.
In order to like put this down. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy. Yeah. No, that's wild.
Like that is kind of
That is a cheat code for sure.
So
She
who
should.
wins? The coin toss.
I feel like the Chiefs are going to.
I
It's
think
gonna
so,
piss me-
too.
It's gonna piss me off.
Do you remember like 4 years ago when they brought out the old woman? She like tossed the coin and just went.
Yeah, you just went straight up and down.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how you do
It's
that.
not a flip. Like,
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, like Chiefs, Eagles. Chiefs win. You're like, okay, awesome.
Yeah,
that's
no,
how it's gonna
I would
be.
prefer like the Eagles, just like they did
Just
against the
defer.
Commanders. Yes,
Yeah, like, we'll take it at the second half.
for sure, because that was a big deal that the Eagles were able to score right before half.
Yeah.
I know they 3 and out after the half, but then they got it back very quickly and then scored again, and it's just that opportunity
Yeah.
to back-to-back
Well,
score.
it's also like, especially with the nerves, like you make the opposing quarterback come out to open the game.
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's see it. And then
Yeah.
if they don't score and you score,
then you feel like you got upper hand already.
Yeah, and then you have the extra possession plus you're winning.
Yeah,
It's like, all
yeah,
right.
for sure. So, oh, that pretty much wraps it up. We went pretty long here. 'cause
Yeah,
we've
over
been talking
almost an hour.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
But all right, sounds good. Let's wrap it up, and hopefully we got a Eagles dub
Chiefs
to
by
talk about.
25.
We will talk to you next week. Peace.
See ya.